Well, good morning. It's 9 o'clock in the morning, and today is Wednesday, I do believe, also pronounced Wednesday. Don't know why they spelled it that way and say it the other. Anyway, Wednesday, Wednesday, fun with words. So here is the little, I call it blue, other folks call it gray, bathtub 350, 3TA, Triumph 350cc bike. It's back. Nothing major, a few odds and ends, but the one major thing is that we're going to put an electronic ignition inside this distributor. That's going to be cool. I've ordered the kit, and we'll see how it goes. It should be just fine. There was some disconnected wire in the taillight. I fixed that. This knob fell off, so I've got a new knob on order. Right now, just because I'm waiting for the motorcycle transport company to come get the gold Norton, I'm just going to go ahead and do a little bit of work while I'm waiting for them. I'm just going to do a few odds and ends here. The first thing is I'm not going to buy a new cable. I'm just going to take this front cable and shorten it down about 2 feet and put it back together. I'm going to take the end off, and rather than solder the end on, which I've done before, and it can be done, and it can be done safely. Rather than do that, I'm going to put one of these later model assemblies on it, where you wrap the cable around this part and put this onto the arm, and that'll be just fine. It'll be even better than soldering, which I don't like to do on a bike that I don't own. So anyway, especially on brake cables. I'll do it on throttle cables all day long. Brake cables are kind of important. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do this morning while I'm just waiting for the bike transporter to show up and take the gold Norton away. All right, I've got everything laid out on the bench. There's two things that are really important. One is where you're going to cut the outer sheath, and this is where I'm going to cut it. I measured it from the handlebar down to the wheel. This is the length of the outer sheath, okay? The second thing you need to remember is that this is the length from the end of the cable to the pivot point on the brake. That's important because this was an operational cable, so however I shorten it, it has to end up with this piece exactly the same length from the end as this piece, okay? Those two things are important. Now also, since I'm doing this, I've got a couple of the old inline switches left over from dead cables that I threw away. And I'm going to take one and install it right here. That'll give him the opportunity, and me the opportunity, to activate the rear brake light with the front brake. Always a good thing. So I'm going to insert that up here. I'll measure down into the cowl and see where we can hide it and mark it, and then cut it, put it in, finish the cut, and end up back here with this much sticking out of the end of the modified cable. That's what I'm going to do now. Here we go. Okay, we're getting close to being done. I've shortened the cable. I've inserted the brake light switch. I also had an adjuster available. Actually, I have a whole bunch of stuff available. These are all leftover bits and pieces from cables that I've worked on, modified, made over the years. So I had this nice adjuster in here, so I'm going to put it right there. I did put it right there. That just makes the cable a little bit more flexible as far as length goes. Now the only thing I'm going to do now is take this end off the old cable end and put it on here just for neatness. And I'll show you how I'm going to do that. Okay, removing the end off of the old cable end, quick and easy. Nice and clean. Now I'll clean it up and prepare it to go onto the end of the other cable. All right, there's a couple of ways of putting this end on the cable. Like so, it'll almost go on right now, but it's got this little dimple on the side of it. Let's see if I can show you the dimple. right there. And that's stopping it. So we can remove the dimple. Now you could also, the easiest way is just carve away the outer cable and stick this on the end with some black silicone, and it'll be just fine, thank you very much. But I'm going to try to get this dimple out of here and see if I can put it on snugly. So stand by one. All right, I used to have a drift that would fit inside these end pieces just perfectly. I can't find it. This might have been it. I might have modified it one more time, and now it no longer does the job. I've got this piece of rod here that's pretty darn close. So I'm just going to tap this on here. And then tap around like this. Until I get that little dimple out as much as I think is possible. Let's see if it'll go on the end now. Goes on the end of this piece. Yeah, perfectly. Okay, so now it slips right on. That kind of cool? So, nice and neat. Let's see if I can get this in here so you can see it. Okay? I could actually center punch that. Matter of fact, I think I will, just for the heck of it. All right, nice and dimpled, and hello, I love finding the viewfinder. Nice and tight. So, I'm going to put this together now. Let's put the cable together. Remembering that these are in. They don't take up any space because I haven't put the end on yet. And all I have to do is get this guy wrapped around here, like so. Show you one more thing I like to do. Stand by. Okay, I don't like the ends of the inner cable sticking out and fraying. They'll hurt you. So I take one of these little splices, these shrink splices, and put it over the cable. And then when it's all done, I shrink it down and make it nice and neat. I'll show you what I mean. Over it, like so. And heat it. And that way there won't be any sharp ends of the cable sticking out. There. Okay, now. And it's complete. I'm going to go install it and see if all the measuring worked out. There. Okay, now. And it's complete. I'm going to go install it and see if all the measuring worked out. And here's the action. Nice and tight, gluten tight, like so. I like it. The action up here at the handle. Let's see if I can zoom out. Feels good. Human zoom. Don't understand this camera. Half the time it'll zoom, half the time it won't. Anyway, there's the whole production. I could put it up here on this hole. It's where it was. Wouldn't hurt. I've got the little clamp. That's right here. And I can put that up there. Why not? I'll just put that back up there where it was. Like so. Okay? All right. So far so good. That was fun. All right, so the front cable is completely installed and operational. I've got the headlight out because I had to guide the cable through the nacelle. And while I'm up here in the headlight area, I'm going to take the speedometer out. The speedometer is currently sitting at 50 miles an hour, and I really don't think the bike is doing 50 miles an hour right now. So I'm going to lower it down some so I can get into the nacelle easier. And take the speedometer out and spin it up with my drill and see what happens. All right, well, I just adjusted the brake switch. It's actually easy to get to, which surprised me. It's right down here. So I adjusted that. We now have tail light up back here. Let's see if you can see the tail light. See the pretty tail light. It's turned on. Scooby-Dooby-Dooby. Ding-dong. And now you have brake light. So you have both tail light and brake light. I'll turn the tail light off. So you can see the difference. There is no tail light now, but there is a brake light. So the tail light and brake light are now working normally. So I'll put the cover on that tail light, probably call it a day. Well, I've ordered an electronic ignition system to convert this old mechanical distributor to electronic. And as soon as it comes in, I'll show it to you and show you the installation. Should be in about a week to 10 days, one would guess. So hit that, I just pulled the distributor out of over there where you see a big hole in the case. That's where the distributor came out. Now, there was a lot of oil all over this bike. And I'm pretty sure, I'm hoping that it was all coming out of that hole right there. I mean, it's dripping everywhere. The whole back end of the bike is quite wet with oil. And I'm going to hope it's coming out of there. There is some seepage here. I'll try tightening that, but I don't know if that's new seepage or old seepage or... And anyway, we may go into the rocker boxes after I modify the distributor and put it back in hole and run the bike, and then we'll see what else is leaking. Could possibly be these oil lines that are up under here. They're wet, but then I don't know that they're wet because they're leaking or they're wet because there's oil blowing all over the back of this bike, including on the muffler. So mufflers normally don't leak oil, but there's oil all over this bike. So we're going to hope and pray that it's coming out of that distributor hole, and that by rebuilding the distributor with the electronic ignition and replacing this O-ring right here, we'll solve the oil leakage problem. We will find out. It should be interesting. So that's it for the day. The bike is now on waiting for part status, And the next thing I'm going to do is put the blue bike, that one right over there, put it up on the lift and open the primary and see if that's what's causing the engine to bind. I figure about 80% that it is not in the primary. I think we're going to find it inside the engine with the rings rusted to a bad spot in the cylinder, because that's where they were sitting for 10, 20 years. When some moisture got in there, just condensation or real moisture got into one of those cylinders, because that particular intake valve was open, allowing moisture to get in and to rust the rings to the cylinder walls. But I'm going to do the easy thing first, which is open the primary and see if there's a problem in there. Probably not today. I told Kevin I'd come over and help him set up a T140 he's working on in his shop. By the way, the gold bike is gone. There's a big open spot right there where the gold bike is gone. It's gone over to the machinist to have a battery box made for it so that we can put an electric starter and electronic ignition and a few other odds and ends onto the bike so that the owner can actually ride it, because kickstarting Nortons is difficult. So that's the plan. And that's the end of the day. Started at 9 o'clock this morning and it's noon. And so out of those 3 hours, I think I'll charge for 2, just for what I've accomplished. Brake light, tail light work. Front brake cable shortened and looking good. And distributor removed. And something else, but I don't remember what. Anyway, that's the end of today, because I'm tired. I'm going to go post this video and then go over to Kevin's.